What is happening out there, Roto Scouts baseball fans? Good morning, gang. Yes, good morning. We got on before noon. Wanted to go a little bit earlier. Quick turnaround from yesterday. Early afternoon slate today. Typical Thursday action. Short slate on travel day. We were just talking about it in Discord. A lot of Thursdays. Teams are on the road. They're traveling. Traditionally, a baseball travel day, so you get shorter overall schedules. A lot of afternoon games, broken up shorter night slates. So we've got a 4-gamer on our hands for the afternoon. We're here. We're going to talk through the, the 4-game DraftKings slate. It's the DraftKings main, and it's the FanDuel early, which kind of sucks. There's really not good contests up for this one on FanDuel. I will put full projections, the rankings. I'll make new home run picks for the later slate. There's a 645 4-gamer on FanDuel that they're calling their main slate. And then DraftKings is running that one as just a 3-gamer because 3 out of those 4 games are at 9-something, and the other one is at 6-something. So DraftKings did it the normal way, and FanDueled it. But I'll put full content up on the website for that one. We're not going to talk about that slate on this show. We're not going to have a show for that one later on, I don't think. Slight chance I'm just like, screw it, and I jump on. But we'll see. Probably not. It's a busy day for me ahead of the trip this weekend. But we've got a solid-looking little 4-gamer here. It's a really interesting DraftKings slate. I was building DK lineups, just hand-building a couple just to see what fit with what, because it's pretty short, given 4 games and not much pitching. 2 very strong options up at the top, and then a lot of mix and match or good pitchers in mediocre spots. So we'll talk through all of that. We're going to go usual style. We'll go summary, and then dig in on a game-by-game basis. Or like overview, I guess I should say. It's kind of layered, right? We do like the Vegas, talk about the games in a 50,000 foot, then we come down to 25,000 talking down the pitchers, and then we get into the game by game. We talk through the hitters. We're going out to Cleveland. I mentioned it on yesterday's show. We're taking a road trip to Cleveland. So tomorrow I got to get from here down to my parents, drop off Joker, getting picked up there on, I believe, Saturday morning, and then we're driving through the day on Saturday, getting to Cleveland mid-afternoon, late afternoon Saturday, seeing the Bouncing Souls tomorrow, Saturday night in Cleveland. Jersey band, we're going to see them in Cleveland. But and then on Sunday, we're going to the Guardians-Red Sox game. So as mentioned yesterday on the show, as far as the site, as far as projections go, I'm going to be putting the full projections, all 3 sports, up over the weekend. Slight possibility that just going into something, we run into a point where I'm just like, the last 2 lineups aren't going to be able to be updated, but the projections are there. And like if Michael A. Taylor's not in the game and somebody else swaps into that spot, you can pretty much just translate that 7-something to the next player. Baseball works pretty well that way. So you can kind of get directional with it outside of like obviously high-level star players. Anything like that, I'll try and call out on the site. I just don't know what the laptop policy, if anybody knows what the Cleveland Stadium laptop policy is, I got to look that up. If there's a laptop access, I'll just carry a laptop in and I'll make any changes from my seat. But it's going to be a fun trip, a little bit of a drinking weekend, and I'm happy to check out that Cleveland Stadium. I've never been there before. So that's another one I'll cross off my list. I've been to, counting like old ones, more than half. So it's a nice one to check off. Larry says, nice. The Christmas Story house isn't far from there. I visited that a few years ago when Cleveland had the All-Star game. Right on. Yeah, they made that Christmas Story sequel, but I always forget they made a few years back. I think it was like, I forget whether it was during the pandemic or right after or right before. That whole timeline is just completely convoluted. But I'd completely forgotten about that, like each of the last 3 Christmases, and you get reminded of it, like that thing exists out there somewhere. It's a weird movie. First one's great, though. That's an all-time classic. But yeah, I don't know that we'll have time for that, where it's kind of like in and out. I think we're spending almost as much time in the car driving back and forth as we are on the ground in Cleveland. But anyway, let's dive into this slate. Lots to talk through. Not that much time to do it. This does start at, 1:10. So we're going to get up. We're going to get out of here fairly efficiently. I'll get out with some time to build. White Sox and the Twins. The White Sox are a target for everything. Twins bats are looking pretty solid. Shane Smith hasn't been bad, but he also hasn't been a standout in any way. He's a pretty low strikeout pitcher in 3 of his 4 starts. I'm liking the upside for the Twins. 8-run total there. It's Chris Paddock on the mound for Minnesota, so it's not exactly locked in that that's going to be a great start and that the White Sox are off the board, but they're only drawing a 3.27 implied total just because that lineup is just terrible. So even against kind of a mid-level type pitcher or a pitcher who was at one point good, and we'll see what he is now, it's kind of a work in progress. The last 2 starts have been better, but he's given up runs in each start. He's got a lot of lingering ugliness in his line from the very first start of the year, but he's better than what we've seen. So I do think Paddock's very usable, but maybe the White Sox are more in play on a very short slate than they might otherwise be. Monster total for this board, though, at 4.84 for the Twin side of that one. We're liking some of those bats. Byron Buxton is one of the 2 players, I believe, over the magic number in the home run model. Might have changed when I tweaked the most recent Vegas update, but Buxton's up there, liking the upside for the Twins. The Mariners at the Red Sox. Mariners are going to be facing Garrett Crochet, super high strikeout lefty. Really like the upside for him. He's very, very expensive. He's very obvious and straightforward. He's going to be popular. It's Cole Ragans going up against the Rockies as your top 2 options on the day, but very difficult, obviously, to pair those guys on DraftKings. Very difficult to reach either one of those guys with very high-end bats. You do have a lot of very affordable bats to make things work, but even with that, it's difficult to combine the top pitchers on this slate. But Crochet looks awesome against a free-swinging Mariners team. They've got a little bit of pop, though, and they've got a few very decent right-handed bats that could get to them. So you can there's playability on the Mariners side on a short slate. And then it's Brian Wu on the mound for the Mariners. He's excellent. Really big fan of Brian Wu. He's gone at least 6 in every start this season. 2 6-inning outings and 2 7-inning in his 2 most recent. It's had a 7 strikeout game. He's very, very good. 114 mark by location plus, 105 stuff plus, 116 pitching plus. Just excellent across the board. We just saw this Red Sox team get smoked by Emerson Hancock, which was absurd yesterday. He was like 0.01% owned. But 4.57 implied total against an excellent pitcher shows you how much upside there is in that Red Sox lineup any given slate. A lot of very good lefties, so definitely can mine some Red Sox bats. But Wu is notably cheap. The Rockies, terrible baseball team going up against an excellent lefty in Cole Ragans. Love the upside for Ragans. If you can get him, if you can afford him, get him. Same thing with Royals bats. They're not difficult to afford. Very easy to reach as far as those prices go. Bobby Witt's very expensive. Everybody else is cheap. 5.36 implied total for them, showing some of the most power upside on the board. They're going up against the corpse of Herman Marquez. Looks like a fantastic spot for the Royals. And then the last game up is the Brewers and the Giants. It's Tobias Myers, who's making his first start in the show this season. He's made 3 appearances in AAA for this organization. He's pitching all right, but it's AAA. We'll see what we get. He's mediocre. And then Landon Roop, who's been very, very good for strikeout upside, has actually given up a couple long balls in his most recent game, still having an impact on the home run model given his suppression of power in a small sample last year. So it'll be interesting to see where the truth is on that one. But the strikeout stuff has been fantastic. He's inducing a ton of swinging strikes. So I'm interested in Roop as a inexpensive option going up against the Brewers. We're seeing a 3.5 implied total on the Milwaukee side, but they are pulling decent man-for-man projections despite the lack of power. So it's a really interesting spot if they can scratch out some hits in sequence a little bit. 4.09 implied total on the Giants side. Could be higher, honestly, against Tobias Myers. I'm a little surprised it's that low. Get to the pitching board here. We'll do the summary through that. So Ragans slightly ahead of Crochet. It's matchup based. The Mariners are better man for man. There's a higher threat going up against Garrett Crochet is facing a higher threat. He's also higher priced on both sites than Ragans is. Let's say equivalent ceilings. And Ragans slightly better. If you roll this 1,000 times, you probably get there a few more times with Ragans than you do with Crochet. But either one makes a terrific option. There's monster strikeout upside for both of those pitchers against both of those teams. Either way you want to play it, if you can figure out a way to get them both in a DraftKings lineup, do it. There are plenty of cheap bats on the slate, but at a point, you're just putting bad options into a lineup and hoping that they, all have a miracle day. And that's not really the approach we want. So I think most of the time we're going one or the other of these guys. But fish around, see if there are combinations that work for that, because it's obviously crazy upside. Brian Wu at 7,900 on DraftKings is the top priority as far as getting to a very good pitcher at a great price. I think he makes a ton of things work. You compare him with Raggins or with Crochet at that price and still get two pretty decent bats. I like the idea of pairing Wu and Landon Roop and just kind of skipping the top two and hoping that we get close enough pitching-wise that we can close the gap with the major savings that we're going to get with bats. And you can really make some interesting stacks work with that. That's kind of specifically what I was in there fishing around for when I was, like I said, hand building before I jumped on the show. Those top four options are pretty dramatically offset from the bottom four options. I do think there's playability on Chris Paddock, 6,500 on FanDuel. I think you can go there because if you get six, even a handful of strikeouts, and with or without the quality start, just on innings, and let's say he gives up 3, comes away with 6 strikeouts, that's a good enough start at that price, unless we get the nuclear day from Raggins or Crochet. Or, by the same token, Wu or Roop. But Paddock's in play at those prices. Same deal on DraftKings. Obviously, as an SP2, he plays a lot stronger than he does as a standalone guy on FanDuel. But he's on the board, and I think he's on the board way more than Shane Smith. Smith at 71, just kind of misfit price on FanDuel, given that Paddock against Smith's terrible team is much cheaper. On DraftKings for 1,000 less, there's at least an argument to be made there. Maybe we find some Ks. Maybe we just get through a few clean innings against the Twins team that is gettable enough. But they're showing enough upside that I don't love the spot. And like I said, he's been okay, but not good. And then Myers, pretty skippable down low in his first outing. And Herman Marquez looks entirely skippable. 65-55 if you want to throw the dart. Ben Kasparius, by the way. He went, 2 2/3, struck out 4, I think. It was like a 20-point FanDuel outing. So whatever that, it's like 10 and change on DraftKings. For your 4,000, if you got that in the lineup yesterday, I'm curious as to whether that worked. But yeah, I don't know that you're going here. There's just so much upside for contact, for premium contact, a little bit of power, sequencing in that Kansas City lineup when they're going right. Could be a good get-right day against Marquez. We kind of talked about it yesterday. That game got rained out yesterday, which sucked. Had a healthy chunk of Royals in. Didn't get them. 19 people here watching. Let's hit this, as Michael Nack says. Let's get this. Anthony Taylor, happy Thursday back to you, buddy. Thank you, pal. I will have a great trip. Should be a fun time. It's me and my buddy Brian driving out there, and then our buddy JP lives out there now, him and his family. So we're going to meet them. And we're going to stay at the house for 2 days, see the shows and stuff like that, and then jam back here in the car. So quick back and forth trip, but should be a good time. Colin's tempted to roll the dice on Myers. So, I mean, he's gone 5 in each of his last 2 outings at AAA. So the depth should be there. Give up 6 hits, allowed 3 earned runs, struck out just 1 against St. Louis's affiliate. Against the White Sox affiliate, he pitched clean over 18 hitters. He gave up 2 hits, walked 1, struck out 5. Looking back to... just get him on the board. We could start at the end. Looking back to last year, 3.0 ERA with a 3.97 xFIP underneath it. Stuff Plus doesn't really love the arsenal. There are home runs there on a fly ball trajectory. It wasn't bad for Ks. Strikeout to walk is fine. 22.3 to a 6.3% walk rate. 9.4% swinging is not ideal. 25.7% CSW doesn't really support that there's a lot of strikeout upside there. And I don't love the opponent. Just in the first game back of the year, the Giants pulling a 4+. Let's see what the conditions are like. That's not the right one. Conditions in San Fran. Typical spring day. It's in the low mid 50s, but the wind is blowing out to left center. So not a major suppression day in this park. I like the upside for power for guys like Yaz, Willie Adames, Matt Chapman, Elio Ramos down lineup. I don't love Myers, but I think he's at least everybody's basically playable outside of probably Herman Marquez down the bottom of the lineup or down the bottom of the board. Right? Like Shane Smith is playable there, especially at the DK price. Tobias Myers, if he finds his form, if he gives you 5 innings for your 72 as an SP2, it's all right. I don't love it here. Odds of us getting 6 and getting what we really need to compete with the top 4 guys on the board, pretty thin. So it's probably a better DK play if you're going to roll those dice. We'll go back to the top of the slate. That game's much later. We've got the first 3 games in confirmed lineups, so hit the like button. Larry, I think it was, asked about weather in Minnesota, too, and that's definitely worth looking at. As usual, I just defer to Roth. I did that yesterday, and he burnt us because he didn't think that Colorado or the KC was going to rain out, and it did, but that's not his fault. He does have this as yellow-orange. He's just saying, like, it's going to be raining all day. Hope they try and play through it. His suggestion was that they move it up, which they did not. So, yeah, it's a concerning spot. I'll say that, especially with somebody with some Twins in his lineup. It does look like they've got a little bit more of a window in the 1 to 3 range. That's the first game up at 110. So they've got 2 hours where it's only like 20%. 20 up to 28, 30% as far as precipitation goes. And then, you assume that part of the 2 p.m. window there. So they've probably got enough time to at least get an official game in if they're willing, if it's drizzling and they're willing to play through at the beginning. So I think we go there. I'm not going to go change my lineup unless we get some news. But again, did that yesterday and it did not work out. But yeah, let's talk Shane Smith. 16.7% strikeout rate, a 2.82 ERA, nice and tidy there. The 0.94 whip is very nice. He's inducing an 11.7% swinging strike rate. He does have interesting enough workable ability on the mound, let's say, but he's sub-average by stuff plus, sub-average by location plus. He's got a very good changeup. That's his only pitch above average by, 2 pitches above average. Change up in the sinker. 113 mark on the sinker. That's the nasty pitch. So given that he's got that in his bag and there are some strikeouts in this lineup, as we've looked at some of these guys a little bit higher in larger samples, if you go back to last year and look at this Twins lineup. So there are some Ks. Guy like Edward Julian at the top of the lineup. Buxton is very, very gettable for strikeouts. So Smith could give you a little something here. We haven't seen it really return a ton of Ks in the overall. He had 1 good game for strikeouts. That was 6 strikeouts over 6 innings. Allowed 2 hits. Didn't allow any runs. Walked 1. That was against Cleveland at Cleveland. Struck out just 3 in each of the last 2 games. They were both against the Red Sox in a home and home. Only 2 runs in 1 game over 6 innings on 5 hits, 3 earned runs on 4 hits in the second game over 4 2/3. He was obviously better in the first one. 5 2/3 in his first outing. That was against this Twins team. Struck out 3, but walked 4, allowed 2 earned runs on 2 hits. Again, there's playability there. But you can see the upside that the Twins are providing. They're one of the more highly rated teams. They're pulling a 4.84 implied total, which was one of the highest on the board. 11.53 in the home run model for Byron Buxton. He's a masher. He is one of, again, he's the highest home run model number on the board and one of 2 guys above 10 in the magic number. That's your home run board right there. Can confirm that on DraftKings anyway, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 of those top 7 guys into a DraftKings lineup with 2 good pitchers. Can confirm. But Smith, again, at 6,000, if you're building a bunch of DraftKings lineups, he absolutely should be in some shares in your portfolio. There's just enough meat on the bone there. And you get a bad day from this up and down Twins team, you could see a little something for your money there. At 71 on FanDuel, given the depth that he's shown in multiple starts, the fact that they've let him go 6 innings and this White Sox team is kind of inclined to do that with their young pitchers. We saw that a lot with Crochet where they let him go kind of last year. Slowed it down toward the end, obviously. I think there's maybe enough upside where you could even roll the dice on FanDuel at 71, even though he doesn't project great. You obviously need 6 innings. You need the quality start at that point because he's got to compete with those guys at the top. Chris Paddock, it's basically the same thing for him. He hasn't really been great with an 18.8% strikeout rate, 11.3% walks, 7.27 ERA, and a 4.77 xFIP. There's a lot of lingering bad from his 9-run first game in the ERA, but the xFIP is the true number, and it's not very pretty right now. 8.9% barrels allowed. He's allowed a bunch of home runs. That first game, again, a total meltdown, 9 earned runs on 6 hits over 3 1/3 to this White Sox club. 2 strikeouts, 4 walks, allowed 3 homers in that game. He's coming back for revenge today, maybe. But that was a really ugly one. Since then, he's actually been okay. 4 innings in the second game, 3 earned runs on and 4 runs total on 7 hits. Not great. 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. Not great. Next game, he struck out 5, just 1 earned run, 2 runs overall on 2 hits. That was against Detroit, decent team. And then 5 decent innings against the Braves. 3 hits, 1 earned run on a solo homer, struck out 6, walked 1. Working his way into form, maybe. Last year, over 88 1/3, he was at a 20.6% strikeout rate with a 5.5% walk rate. It's respectable. It's not ideal on the strikeouts, but as long as he's not really walking that many guys, it's a workable strikeout to walk. 409 xFIP is obviously a whole lot better than that 477. He was inducing some more swinging strikes in the small sample. We just haven't seen a ton of Paddock. He's just on and off the mound a ton. I do think you can roll the dice with some White Sox bats. Again, short slate. You can combine a few pieces from this, but there's just not many good options. Lou Bob is the obvious guy. 9.18 in the home run model stands out. He was one of those top 5 guys that I just highlighted a few minutes ago. You've got a very, very cheap Joshua Palacios in the leadoff spot ahead of him on both sites. So if you're building with this team, I think you do include Palacios just to average down salary and take a correlated scoring piece. He's, talent-wise, not all that appealing, but he's one of the better bats that they offer anyway. And just the spot in the lineup and the price makes him way better than anybody down in this territory. And you guys know I like Michael Taylor and Bobby Dahlbeck. So I do think Palacios playable in stacks of White Sox. As a one-off, you could throw a few darts at it. It is dead mid price, so it makes a lot of things work. And it's a gettable pitcher. Palacios, just 78 plate appearances last year. 2 years ago, 10 home runs, 239, 279, 413 isn't pretty, but a 174 ISO. It's a workable option. He hits you a double, scores a run, and you're off and running at that price. Andrew Benintendi is at best a mix and match piece at 4,029, but again, a gettable starter. He has been barreling the ball a little bit more. He has been hitting the ball harder, and he's hit 4 home runs already this year. So it's something to watch there. But the 310 xWOBA tells us that it's not real. It's going back toward normal Andrew Benintendi production pretty quick. Just a few lucky batted ball events there. Andrew Vaughn, on the other hand, there is real contact there. 16.9 is probably not going to be sustainable in the barrel rate department, but the 49%, if he flirts with 50% hard hits, I wouldn't be shocked. 10+% barrels, I wouldn't be shocked. He's hit 3 home runs. He hasn't turned it into anything else yet. A 138 ISO, 327 xWOBA supports the upside, but 149, 187, 287 is a disaster. A 31 WRC plus. The only thing we're clinging to right now with Vaughn is contact and the cheap price at first base, 2,900, 2,600. He's still probably priority 2 in this lineup, unless we're just talking about the free square with Palacios. Edgar Cato, mix and match catcher. So far, 24 decent plate appearances. 395 xWOBA is excellent. No barrels yet, but it's a very small sample. Kid's supposed to be good. He's very cheap. Switch hitter. Good spot in the lineup. So I do think you prioritize him on DraftKings anyway. Lennon Sosa, nothing there. Miguel Vargas, nothing there. Michael A does give you the infrequent power upside. He's got 1 home run on the board. He does square the ball up pretty well. 11.6% barrels, 40.1% hard hits last year. 13% barrels with a 38% hard hit rate the year before. Just hits you those oddball home runs for a cheap price and no ownership from time to time from the bottom of the lineup. So I'll always include him, at least in consideration. And then Bobby Dahlbeck, we're just hunting for quality bat on ball. So far in 7 plate appearances, he's done okay. 42.9% strikeouts, but he's drawn a couple of walks in that. He's at 333, 429, 500, 370 xWOBA in the teeny tiny sample. None of those numbers mean anything at all. Last year, terrible over 93 plate appearances. Did hit 1 home run the year before. 53 major league plate appearances, just 1 home run. Look at his minor league numbers from those years as far as the power output. 12 home runs a few years back. Did have a year, I guess it was 2021, where he hit 20 plus. But the power is very, very real. The eye is very, very real. but he is the extreme end of the 3 true outcomes hitter. He's Joey Gallo, right-handed Joey Gallo. So know that, but very playable if you're going to this team. 5.47 is one of the better marks in the home run model, and he's a functional wraparound guy because of his ability to draw walks and get on base. He's much more likely to give you a 0 than he is to do anything productive at all, but you're already getting that because you're going to the White Sox anyway, so why not roll the dice with one of their more high-ceiling guys? So Bobby Dahlbeck is a yes if you're going to White Sox. Edward Julian, top of the Twins lineup, hits the ball extremely hard. 12% barrels this year, 44% hard hits. It's only turned into 1 home run over 74 plate appearances, just a 118 ISO, but a 342 xWOB has got appeal. Kid can put bat on ball. He just needs to limit his strikeouts, which he's done effectively so far in the small sample. We're down at 25.7. That's coming off of 33.9 last year, 31.4 in moderate samples the last 2 years. We've seen him hit for power. It's a great spot in one of the most appealing lineups of the day against a very gettable young pitcher just finding his way with a very low strikeout rate, allowing plenty of contact so far. Not premium contact yet. We're getting a lot of hard hits and exit velo on a premium launch angle, but he's missing barrels, and he hasn't really allowed much in terms of home runs. I figure that's happenstance, and we might see that just burst out a big outburst of power today against this pitcher from the Twins if that contact is maintained. And this is a team that can put a bat on ball like that. Luke Keishel's interesting. Very good hit tool. Following up Byron Buxton, who is a priority if you're going to the Twins. 5,000 is a good price for Byron Buxton, and his 17.5% barrels, his 56.1% hard hits. 5 home runs on the season, 5 stolen bases is nice. If you see him running, you know that he's at least healthy right now. I might not let him run if I was running this team, but that's another story. 241 ISO, 331 xWOBA. Prioritize Byron Buxton while he's here, while he's healthy, and honestly at a few $100 too cheap on both sides. Keishel, as I was about to say, 40% hard hits in a small sample of 22 plate appearances, holding down a 353, 500, 529 over that, 387 xWOBA. Put really good bat on ball so far, very low strikeout so far, living up to his reputation as a hard-hitting hit tool type of player. So perfect for the 3 spot. 3,500 at second base works really well. You do have to decide between him and Edward Julian on DraftKings. Not so on FanDuel, but obviously taking up the util spot that way. They're both very cheap, though. Makes it functional. I think, wasn't he like dead min? That wasn't it 2,000, 2,200? So he jumped by $700 over a couple of days on FanDuel. Trevor Larnach, power upside, premium contact upside, 10.1% barrels, 45.1% hard hits last year. 3 home runs on the board this year at 322 xWOBA, just a 128 ISO. Not a great start, but we know there's quality there. Low strikeout guy who draws his walks, so a good hitter to throw at this pitcher from the left side. Carlos Correa, off to a slow start this year. Fantastic half season last year, 3,900, 2,600. He's ideal at shortstop from this lineup if you're going there. I figure people will be skipping him more than they should, too. He'll probably be lower owned than he deserves in this spot. Could be a great source of upside in this lineup. Ty France, playable, good bat on ball skill. 2 home runs on the board, a 358 xWOBA, 42.3% hard hits, barreling the ball slightly above his usual moderate clip. He's okay. He's always had a good hit tool. When he flashes a little bit of power, it gets more interesting. Very playable against this pitcher. Brooks Lee makes things work in a few different lineups. He's cheap. They're 2,900 with third base and shortstop eligibility. So a few different combinations I had to go to with the Twins included Brooks Lee. 25 on FanDuel also makes things work. Not a great start. 1 home run on the board, but a 364 xWOBA despite the 200, 333, 320. I'm kind of interested. 14.3% barrels and 52.4% hard hits. I'm kind of interested. That's why I was including him. Just 13% strikeouts against a low strikeout pitcher. It's only 30 plate appearances. It's only a handful of batted ball events, so we can't get too excited. Last year, that was 4.1% barrels and 24.5% hard hits in a larger sample. 185 plate appearances, 3 home runs, a .099 ISO, 62 WRC plus. Take the good with the bad. Deshaun Kersey, I'm not getting his stats because of reasons. $19 plate appearances, 105 across the board in his slash line, negative 51 WRC plus so far, 31.6% strikeouts, has not drawn a walk. Mix and match piece, if that. Christian Vasquez, mix and match catcher. This very much goes Twins bats. Twins bats, either pitcher as a dice roll for value. and then White Sox bats, and you're prioritizing a very few specific guys as those two. Andrew Vaughn, you can get to some Edgar Quero, and for me, it's those two at the bottom. I understand, though, if you want a straight line off the top and include Andrew Benintendi in that and just go 1 through 5 also makes sense, but still remains a terrible lineup even against Chris Paddock. 3.52 total for the Mariners going up against one of the top lefties in baseball. Garrett Crochet coming in with a 28.5% strikeout rate, a 1.13 ERA, but a 3.18 xFIP underneath that. 0.91 whip is spectacular, 12.5% swinging, 29.4% CSW. I will note those numbers are down from last year. Very small sample, but he's made 5 starts, 32 innings. We're just at 28.5 here. We're just at 12.5 there, 29.4% CSW. Last year, that was 16.2, 30%, 35.1% strikeouts. Maybe they just got him working slightly differently. The stuff plus is up by 10 points, which is fantastic. Hasn't been bad for power or anything like that. So no real problems, and it might just be management of effort level, management of a few different things to just extend the longevity. Because still a young pitcher who has not thrown many innings in the show. He's already had his left elbow rebuilt once. So I can understand if they take it down a notch and get more out of him over the long term and then ramp it back up when they need it. But he's already been spectacular and every reason in the world to go to him against this free-swinging Mariners lineup that we continue to attack. 24.4% strikeout rate for the confirmed Mariners lineup. It's a perfect matchup for Garrett Crochet. There are a few good righty power bats, though. I mean, you got to fade the Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh upside. You get a little bit of Mitch Garver upside, a little bit of Randy Rosarena in there. Even Dylan Moore in the leadoff spot is not totally without power. He's got 5 home runs on the season. But odds are Crochet continues to limit the power upside that he allows and finds a bunch of strikeouts here. Phenomenal pick at 10-3, 10-7 on either site. I think you can fire away with that to your heart's content, but he's very difficult to reach at those prices. Brian Wu, on the other hand, at 79, looks terrific. 21.2% Ks against a 5.8% walk rate. It's around what we expect. Last year, it was 21.4, 2.8% walk rate, which was just spectacular. 0.90 whip. That's his main attribute, is the strikeout to walk ratio rather than being extreme high strikeout. He did induce a few more swinging strikes last year than he has overall this year, and he had a much better CSW overall. That's where some of the walks have come from. Just missing a few spots, but Stuff Plus loves his arsenal. He's also got we're at 105 by Stuff Plus, 114 by Location Plus, and 116 by Pitching Plus, like I said earlier. What is it? Fastball sinker, 108, 111 by Stuff Plus. The slider and the change have been working a little bit below average last year. The slider was at 111. So as soon as that pitch comes back, we probably find a few more swinging strikes, a few more Ks along the way. But he's already been very good, 3.12 ERA. The 3.86 xFIP is a little, I guess it's in line. Last year it was 2.89 ERA, 3.75 xFIP. These Mariners pitchers have outperformed their xFIPs pretty handily over the last couple of seasons, but they are very, very good overall. So love Wu at the 79, would play at 94 on the short FanDuel slate. Looking at bats, there's plenty of upside showing for the Red Sox. 4.58 implied total in a home game. They're showing power upside against Wu. He is somewhat gettable, given the not killer put away stuff, the 1 in 5-ish strikeout rate. So you can absolutely grab some Red Sox here. They're one of the more highly implied totals in Vegas. Jarren Duran, Rafi Devers, 2 excellent lefties off the top of the lineup. Devers continuing to scuffle, 202, 342, 340, at least the on bases there. The ex-WOBA at 385 is super appealing, way above average. He's continuing to crush the ball when he makes contact at 21% barrel, 62.9% hard hits. We've just got a few more strikeouts. We've also gotten a few more walks. That's what's supporting the on base and some of the underlying upside. At 47.32, in this ballpark against a righty, you got to love the upside at those prices for Rafi Devers if you're considering Red Sox. And honestly, he's appealing as a one-off at those prices on both sites. He's very much a reason to go to the Red Sox at those prices. So he's still easily on the board, and I'm honestly not concerned. It's just a weird start. Duran at 253, 11, 370 has also been extreme roller coaster this season. Just 1 home run on the board. Has stolen 7 bases, but you can see a 92 WRC plus. Nowhere near what we expect. 8.3% barrels, 50% hard hits is similar to last year in terms of the barrels. He's up in hard hits. Strikeouts, walks right around the same. So I expect we're going to be just fine with Jarren Duran. But at 51.35, you're not exactly picking up the discount like you are on Rafi Devers. You've got more discounts going down the lineup, though. Trevor Story, despite his ridiculous start, remains very cheap at 45.32 across sites. 32 on FanDuel is coming up slightly, I think, by $200 maybe. I think DraftKings may be the same thing, like up by $200, but this is still easily several hundred cheap, and this is easily $200 to $300 cheap at best. 5 home runs, 6 stolen bases, a 351 xWOBA, creating runs 35% better than average, mashing the ball when he makes contact. Willier's been mashing. Tristan Casas has quietly been crushing batted ball events. Hasn't seen great results for it, but did hit a home run yesterday. Looks good for another one today at 7.71. Another lefty to throw at Brian Wu if you're going to this team. So priority bat in Tristan Casas at 3,300, 2,700. That's what I mean when I said there's another discount in here. Alex Bregman at 5,032. Honestly, for this start and what we've seen from Alex Bregman over time, also kind of cheap. Second and third base eligible, so he doesn't conflict with Devers on DraftKings. You do have him bumping into Christian Campbell down lineup if you're looking to put all those guys together. So a little bit of conflict there. Both third base on FanDuel, but playable together, obviously. Love the upside for Bregman. 310, 381, 530, a 345 xWOBA, 159 WRC plus. He's terrific and belongs in tons and tons of Red Sox stacks. High priority bat if you're going to this team. Willier's price is a couple $100 cheap for the production we've seen this year for everything we got out of him last year. And then at the bottom of the lineup, Campbell, the rookie at 42.29, off to a 300, 406, 475 start to his Red Sox career. 3 home runs on the board, 41.4% hard hit rate, 375 xWOBA. But kid's got more to give. David Hamilton, Carlos Narvaez, mix and match pieces at the bottom. On the Mariners side, again, it doesn't look like a great spot attacking Garrett Crochet, but if you're doing it, you're focusing on right-handed power through that stretch. You want 3 of those 4 bats at least. And then Dylan Moore makes a ton of sense to bolt on for a cheap price up top. I don't love that these guys are priced where they are, given the numbers they've put up so far this season overall, going up against this pitcher. That's another part of it. You just get cheaper bats elsewhere. There's playability. 717, 738 are the obviously the targets. Otto has hit 4 home runs and stolen 7 bags. The xWOBA is excellent. The ISO is very good. 134 WRC plus. He's been very good outside of the front end of the slash line. So hopefully people get lost in the weeds on that and see a low batting average and don't go to him. There's upside there. 10.3% barrels, 48.3% hard hits so far this year for a fair price. So you're definitely going 1 through 5 is a very easy stack to build if you're just eating those prices. At the bottom of the lineup, you do have playability on Donovan Solano at 2,000 at first base. That's a reasonable enough spot, given his upside for line drives, given his bat on ball skills. So far, over 36 plate appearances has been terrible. 086, 083, 086 slash line with a 0 ISO, a 156 xWOBA, and a negative 59 WRC plus. That is getting down there. It's only 36 plate appearances from a guy that we know can hit the ball effectively at the major league level. Which line is it? There he is. Last couple seasons, 309 plate appearances of 286, 343, 417, 280, 369, 391. That's why he's an effective player. He can create runs. So for that price, another guy to write down as a free square. You can absolutely go to that. You can use that as a one-off at first base at 22 with second base eligibility on FanDuel. That's where I would put him. That's really interesting. Ben Williamson, Leo Rivas, mix and match guys. Williamson's had a good 31 plate appearances. We'll see how much more he has to give. 339 xWOBA. You've got solid xWOBAs supporting some upside down there. Nobody's been particularly great, but they are creating runs. 1 home run apiece. So the DFS scoring's been light outside of a little bit of run creation, but they're playable parts down lineup, and some of them have been equally productive in terms of runs to the upside guys. Julio, just 3 home runs, 5 steals. 353 xWOBA, supporting a ton of upside, 51.5% hard hits. This very much goes Garrett Crochet, Brian Wu on DraftKings, Red Sox bats on either site, Brian Wu on FanDuel, Mariners bats. 12:35, 2 games to go. If you're here, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out rotoscouts.com. That's where the projections live. NBA and NHL will be up in a little bit after this show is done. Got to get through those for the playoff slates tonight. New York Knicks in action, looking to get back into the series lead. Miserable loss that last time out. But let's talk Royals and Rockies. Oh, as I was saying, so at rotoscouts.com, access to all those things is under $1 a day, all in for all three sports. Plus NFL when it comes back, plus anything else that hits the websites. Check it out. Rockies at just 3.27 against another one of the best lefties in baseball. 98-10-1 for Cole Ragans is a reasonable price. 36.8% strikeout rate is definitely a target against a team that's carrying a 30.7% strikeout rate in small samples so far this year. 28.9% strikeout rate from all of last season for this same group of hitters. Mix and match size samples. A lot of those players were up and down last year, but more extended, you've got tons of strikeout here. You've got a little bit of lingering power threat, but we're not really worried about that against Cole Ragans. He is a fly ball pitcher, so if the wrong guy squares one up a little bit, ball can travel. But Ragans is going to just be out there missing bats against this team. 16.1% swinging strike rate so far this season. He's been spectacular for that. Last year it was 14.4. He struck out 29.3 while allowing a sub 2% home run rate. So far this year, that's sub 2%. Year before, it was 1.79 in the 96 spectacular innings he had over those 12 starts. 28.8% Ks with another 14+% swinging strike rate. Cole Ragans is terrific, and this is one of the worst lineups in baseball. Don't worry about the fact that they're padding some righties in there. This is obviously, Hunter Goodman, Sean Bouchard. These are not hitters that we're worried against this pitcher. Everybody except for Hunter Goodman below halfway to the magic number in the home run model. Monster upside for Ragans at any price. And the fact that you get him cheaper than Crochet is very appealing. Either way you go with those two teams, but Ragans has the better of the two matchups. Herman Marquez, unless you're just taking the free square and hoping for 10 points, it's really difficult to envision. This Royal squad is just too good, too low strikeout, too high quality bat on ball. We're ignoring this stretch of sub Mendoza hitters. We know that most of those guys are better than that. It's just too appealing having the Royals at 5.36 in the implied run column. The bats at the top of this lineup, the cheap options down lineup. The fact that everybody other than Bobby Witt is cheap. Vinny Pasquantino for 36 on DraftKings makes things work. 28 on FanDuel makes things work. Sal with catcher eligibility at 41 on DraftKings is an ideal catcher combo. He also happens to be the home run pick of the day. I didn't take one of the two guys that were above 10. I took Sal. 8.8 in the home run model. He's got 2 on the board, but as we've highlighted a bunch of times, he's absolutely destroying balls when he makes contact. Typical upside contact. He's just gotten unlucky. Love it. 375 xwOBA. At that price, that is an absolute steal. He's going to be popular, though. 27, same deal on FanDuel. You can absolutely play these two guys together on FanDuel. You've got a 4-position Kevin Biggio on FanDuel at 2,200. He's not actually that good, but he's got a great spot in the lineup. He's a lefty bat against a very weak right-handed pitcher, at least in current form. So I definitely think you can look at Biggio. If you got a little bit more money in your pocket, I do think Michael Massey is the better of those two bats with similar positioning across second base, which is where I would want Kevin Biggio. On DraftKings, it's a different conversation because Biggio is $1,000 cheaper and first base outfield eligible, where it's only a $300 difference where they share second base on FanDuel. So slightly different. It's more of a either or if you need to save the money on DraftKings. But again, if you've got the money, you can see it in the home run model, 6.02 for Michael Massey versus 3 for Kevin Biggio. You can see it in last year's numbers, 356 plate appearances. Massey hit 14 home runs, had a 190 ISO. Kevin Biggio was entirely irrelevant and lost his job over 224. Same deal the year before, 15 versus 9 home runs in a fair sample. Massey's no star, but he's a quality lefty bat with mid-grade power, 7.1% barrel, 7.8 the year before. Sub 40% hard hits, but low strikeout, low walk. So you get a lot of frequency of bat on ball, which is ideal at second base for the money. Hunter Renfroe, it's been problematic over the last 2 years. You will get the oddball home runs. He is still pulling a 7.11, even in the more current version of the home run model that knows about all of last year and all of his struggles recently. Lingering power upside from years ago in the model, 2,200, 2,300, lingering power upside from years ago in the player on the right day against a pitcher like this. You can catch some upside from Hunter Renfroe. He's not off the board, but he's a difficult reach outside of anything other than helping average down price. Drew Waters, Kyle Isbell, mix and match guys. Waters at 273, 314, 455, a 267 xWOBA so far, 186 xWOBA so far for Kyle Isbell. Tells the truth about those two players. So you don't really want to go down there unless you have to. But the good news is you don't really have to. With like this stretch, with Sal and Vinny as cheap as they are, like this 4-man off the top there is $4,500 a piece. So that's easy to reach. If you bolt one of these guys on, it just becomes cheaper. If it's Biggio, you're at 4,000. Obviously a little higher with Massey. On FanDuel, even those guys are cheap. That top 4 is 3,000. It includes Sal, Vinny, and Bobby Witt. Just ignore these front ends. Ignore the on base. These guys are going to be fine. I'm so confident that Vinny Pasquantino is going to be okay and get his timing back. It's just a timing thing right now. Sal, everything about it other than just some atom balls has been there already. So we're not even looking for Sal to come back. We're just looking for his luck to change a little. On the Rockies side, if you choose to draw down with the lowest implied total against Cole Ragans, at least grab Brenton Doyle, their best hitter, 4,100, 3,500 across sites, extremely differently priced, much more appealing on DraftKings, 14% barrels, 46.5% hard hits, slashing 315, 351, 537, 391 xWOBA. He's creating runs 33% better than average, one of 2 players that are above average so far this season in this Rockies lineup. The other one is lefty Mickey Moniak, who don't really love the idea of grabbing him lefty-lefty here, but he's been good so far this season since joining the Rockies. 403 xWOBA, 112 WRC plus. He's hit 3 home runs on the season. There is talent there. Once upon a time, first overall pick, washed out, went to the Angels, was good, but eventually lost the job as they loaded that roster up to try and get Mike Trout into the playoffs. So there's a little talent there, but I don't love the spot. 29-23. He would be a priority bat, though. 4.39 is one of the better marks in this lineup for power upside. And then I'm focusing probably Hunter Goodman. I'll take Talia, the switch hitter, and just take the righty, the downside righty. But he hasn't been good at all. 1 home run on the board, a stolen base, 228 xWOBA, doesn't support any upside outside of what we saw last year when he was an absolute destroyer of baseballs with a 17.2% barrel rate and a bunch of home runs in a 2/3 of a season. Bouchard's just okay at the major league level so far. Some quality bat on ball with power upside in the minors, but we haven't seen a ton of that at this level. Mix and match piece. Kyle Farmer, an interesting player, but more so when he's unpopular at the bottom of the lineup. He'll be unpopular in this spot today at 3,000, 2,300, but I feel like everybody who goes Rockies is probably going to include him. He's nothing more than a dart throw. You're just looking for some on-base skills or that cheapo home run, which is why I like him cheap, unowned at the bottom of a lineup. But no priorities on the Rockies. This very easily goes Royals bats, Cole Ragans, or Cole Ragans, Royals bats, either way. 2 top priority items, and then really nothing from the Rockies, but it's bats over that pitcher every single time. 12:44, we're going to get us out of here before 1 o'clock. Handful of minutes to build before lock. Hopefully you've been doing it all along. Broken the slate down overall 3 times. Just again, slowly descending. We start 50,000 feet. Yeah, Lara, it does sound like, going back to that question on the Minnesota game, worst case, probably a game that starts but doesn't finish. Does seem like that's more in the cards than anything. Negative boost to min stacks and take Paddock out of the pool. That's not a crazy idea. It just comes down to the risk tolerance. So, yeah, it depends. If you're rolling one lineup, do you want to leave those guys in and try and pick them off at low ownership for a stack that you already like? Or do you go for the safety and take them out? It's very much up to how risk averse you are and how much the $5 or $1 or $15 or $500 matters to you. No lineups for the late game. Brewers Giants. This one kicks off at 3:45 in the East. Again, if you weren't here at the beginning of the show, I will have projections and all the full content. I'll redo rankings for the later slates. It's a 6:45 main slate for 4 games on FanDuel. It's a 9-something 3-gamer on DraftKings for the later games. So those will be up on the site a little bit later in the afternoon, along with NHL and NBA projections for tonight's playoff slate. Tobias Myers on the bump. We talked about him at the very beginning of the show, making his first start of the year here in the show. He's made 3 outings in the minors. Last time out, 5 innings, faced 18 hitters, struck out 5, gave up 2 hits, walked 1, but was otherwise clean against the White Sox AAA affiliate. Gave up 3 runs over 5 to the Cards AAA affiliate. Struck out just 1. Pretty limited start there. But we had an effective major league sample from last year. 22.3% strikeouts against the 6.3% walk. Very limited for swinging strikes in CSW, which means that there's probably not... I wouldn't be surprised if this comes down, I guess is what I'm trying to say. 91.85 in the via Stuff Plus. Not a great mark there. Several points below average. Allowed a fair amount of home runs, despite not being bad for premium contact. Fly ball trajectory, so some of that could be happenstance, and that's not a concerning number. It's just an average number. 3.0 ERA, but a 3.97 xFIP last year. I do think there's playability there. Again, there are strikeouts in this Giants lineup. Willie Adames at 25% this year. Matt Chapman's always going to give you some swing and miss. 23.4 this year, 24.4 last year, 28 and change the year before that. A couple guys down lineup as well. Lamont Wade is off to a terrible start and just flailing up there right now, up to a 28.4% strikeout rate. Patty Bailey's at 36.1. He's more like the 22 to 28 guy that he was the last 2 years, but even those are gettable numbers. Tyler Fitz will give you some Ks. So there is playability on Myers, much more at 72 on DraftKings. 83 is concerning on FanDuel. I don't know that we chase the quality start there, given the upside starters that we've got on the board. It's just going to be difficult to see Tobias Myers competing with those guys in the single starter spot, and I don't think he's cheap enough where you're truly getting a meaningful discount from those guys. Landon Roop on the other side, 31.2% strikeout rate so far. Monster, 15.5% swinging strike rate, 32.1% CSW. He's been terrific. Stuff Plus is at 102. Location Plus is at 113. 115 pitching plus. So he's got good stuff, and he is drilling his spots with it. Sinker at 102. Curveball 108. Via Stuff Plus. Kid's interesting. Little bit of history. 50 and a third, 4 starts, some relief work last year. This is what I was talking about with the home runs. 0.92% home run rate, came on a 4.9% barrel. A little bit of hard hit and exit velo there. 10.6 degree average launch isn't nothing, but had that attribute through the minors where he was good at keeping the ball down, limiting home run upside. We'll see what it ends up looking like in the show. So far, we were at 3.23% home runs. He's given up a couple. 2 in his most recent start, 1 in the start before that. In that most recent start against the Angels, he went 7 innings, struck out 9, 2 home runs allowed. Those were the only 2 earned runs, 5 hits total, 1 walk. That's a very, very effective start for the money. Struck out 8 over 5 innings against the Phils while giving up 4 earned runs. Struck out 8 in his first start against the Astros over just 4 innings while giving up 3 earned runs and walking 4. Had a very clean 6 innings against the Reds in his second start. 7 hits, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, no walks, but obviously not the killer strikeout spot. I think there's a ton of upside going up against the Brewers. They have been a little bit effective in terms of the low strikeout if you're just looking at the average. But if you look, several guys operating in the 30s and higher or in the high 20s last year. Like Rhys Hoskins is not a 20% strikeout guy. He's much more this 28 to 30% strikeout guy. Garrett Mitchell, we'll see what it becomes. But right now we're in the 30s on both those years. You do have some guys that are underperforming, like Christian Yelich is a little bit better than he's been. But this is probably more like a 21, 22% strikeout than an 18.5% strikeout over time. So I think there's upside for K's. You can see what he's doing to the power numbers. Some of that is probably a little bit small sample wonky. There are corrections for that in there, but it's not fully engaged probably. Right now, there's just an ability to suppress power. But he makes a mistake. Christian Yelich, Jackson Churio, William Contreras, Rhys Hoskins, certainly. Any one of those guys could take him deep. So he's not safe, but he's got a lot of upside at the end of the slate. 3.49 implied total for the Brewers helps support that. I like Landon Roop at 82. I like him at 89 on FanDuel as well. I think he's playable on either site. Very functional in a Landon Roop, Brian Wu. Take your chances. Go with the third and fourth best pitchers on the slate rather than the first and second best pitchers. If you're looking at Brewers bats against, Bryce Turang at 53.35, becoming more difficult to reach, but supporting the pricing. 8.5% barrels, 50% hard hits, 3 homers, 8 steals, a solid 372 xWOBA, 136 WRC plus. He's been terrific. He's been the idealized version of Bryce Turang. He's given us what he was once upon a time supposed to be. couple years ago, 285 on base was really concerning. 26 stolen bases, just 6 homers, pretty bad slash line overall. Improved last year a little bit, 254, 316, 349, was more functional. Didn't hit for much power at all. 7 home runs, a .095 ISO, but swiped 50 bases. That was good, but you can see where the WRC plus was. He was 13 points below average for run creation despite that. So far this year, we're way above average, 36 points above because of all these improvements. We'll see if he's able to sustain it. The sample at 110 plate appearances is still very small, but it's growing, and they're giving him these shots in the leadoff spot, so interesting bat. Jackson Churio, one of the young stars in baseball, 5 home runs, 2 steals on the board at 229 ISO, just a 287 XWOB. I'll keep calling it out until it improves. 11.1% barrels, 44.4% hard hits. I think there's no way that we avoid this kid being a star. He just needs to find his walks. He's only at 1.8% walks so far. Last year, that was 6.8%, striking out a little bit more than last year so far, but it did take him a minute to find his form last season as a rookie. I think we're probably just dealing with a little bit of sophomoritis to start this season. Yelich, under 5,000. If you're going to the Brewers, absolute priority on DraftKings. Fully priced at 3,700 on FanDuel. 5 home runs, 5 steals, a 330 on base, a 365 xWOBA, a 212 ISO, 53.3% hard hits. The lefty looks every bit the part of Christian Yelich. William Contreras at 4,500 is a great buy at catcher if you're going to this team. I think he's individually playable if you just have a fair amount of money to spend at catcher at the end of a roster. You can plug him into any lineup. He's a very effective catcher bat. 3 home runs, 3 steals. Gets on base, creates runs. We're at dead even for run creation so far this year. Just a 297 xWOBA. Another one to watch, and maybe a little bit more concerning given the 4.3% barrels, the 37% hard hits. Small sample again. It's just a few batted ball events in there, but growing. Again, something to watch, but still a very high priority bat at catcher overall. Sal Frelick, hit tool and speed, 42-32, hitting 300, 406 on base, 432 slug, a 337 xWOBA is supportive of the upside. More about doubles, singles, stolen bases, and then correlated scoring than anything else, but a playable part of this lineup, and especially ahead of Rhys Hoskins at 39. Just 2 good prices on 2 productive enough players. Hoskins can barrel a ball still. 7.8 is down from his 12.7 last year. I like the chances of him going back up. 41.2% hard hits is right in line with expectations. Slashing 273, 380, 424 is off to a good start. The 339 xWOBA supports the idea of more production to come. 3 home runs on the board, creating runs 28% better than average. At those prices, he's a high priority first baseman on the small slate if you're including Brewers against a very effective pitcher who does have the talent to limit home runs. Mitchell's playable. Joey Ortiz is playable. Caleb Durbin is a cheap option at third. I prefer him at second on FanDuel. Not an ideal guy at third, but we've got limited options overall. The guy on the other side of this game, though, Matt Chapman at third base, definitely a more high priority third baseman in a just positional vacuum. 7.29 in the home run model going up against Tobias Myers. I like his chances. 4,900 on DraftKings, 31 on FanDuel. Very affordable for the upside. 350 xWOBA on the season, 4 home runs, 3 steals. One of the best, fastest swings in baseball. Love the power upside in the long term from Matt Chapman any season. Young-Hoo Lee off to a very good start. 55 is very expensive. 34 still just an average price on FanDuel. 333, 388, 581, 378 xWOBA has created a run 67% better than average. Willy Adames off to a terrible start, but we all know what last season looked like. He was mashing. Take the cheap shots. If you're going Giants, 41-27 is a great buy on that player. Last year, he was hyper productive. 32 home runs, a 211 ISO, 119 WRC plus. The year before that, not much in the slash line, but still had a 190 ISO, hit 24 home runs and 638 plate appearances. The year before that one, he was at 31 home runs, a 220 ISO, created runs 9% above average. Willy Adames, while maybe not being a star, is very, very good. And he's way too cheap against this pitcher. Absolute priority. He's very one-offable at shortstop on either site. Great purchase at 7.72 in the home run model with upside. Wilmer Flores, mix and match guy, 4,400, 3,300. He's hit 7 home runs this year. He's looked like the good side of Wilmer Flores. That can come and go very, very quickly. You get at any given slate, but there's a lot of mediocre performances out of Wilmer as well. 236 ISO, a 319 xWOBA is the true number. That's right around the average, 125 WRC plus. He's just okay. Elliot Ramos is a more appealing bat down lineup. His power is very real.
14.5% barrels, 47.4% hard hits in a great rookie season last year. Gave us a bunch of home runs in a medium sample. Just 3 this year, over 111 plate appearances, just a 299 xWOBA. The contact is down at 10.5% barrels, 42.1% hard hits. But from a young player, this is still good. 25.2% strikeouts and not really drawing any walks. You're just riding those barrels and you're just looking for some cheap home run upside. But against this pitcher, I'm happy to do that with this player at those prices. Lamont Wade has gotten very cheap because he's at 098, 233, 230 with a 34 WRC plus. Wildly uncharacteristic numbers. I'm not sure what's going on. The strikeouts are up. The only things that's sustained right now is the walks. It's been problematic. He's usually hitting at the top of this lineup. Patty Bailey, Tyler Fitz, a lot of playability on Tyler Fitz at the bottom. He's still 314, 360, 486, just chugging along with super productive numbers. 137 WRC plus. The xWOBA suggests that it's all going to come crashing down at some point. So does the barrel, the quality of contact. But we're at a extended sample now. This is what, 400 some odd plate appearances, 418, 280, 334, 497 last year at 217 ISO, 15 homers, 17 steals. So in still under a full season, we're at 17 home runs, 22 stolen bases. He's fantastic. Excellent buy down lineup anytime you're going to this team. He hit 6th or 7th the other day. Mike Yastrzemski, I skipped over, but him in the leadoff spot, 4,700, 3,100 against this pitcher. Plenty of left-handed power upside. You get barrels and hard hits out of he has. Medium strikeout. He can draw a walk from time to time. He's okay. He is a true left-handed power bat with 20-ish home run power overall. 224 ISO at 368 xWOBA is terrific. Last year, 18 homers and 474. Year before, 15 in 381. That's a little better than a 20 home run pace. 17 in 558. I think 20 is about the right number. Very playable bat in the Giants lineup. This goes Landon Roop, Giants bats. Brewers bats. Tobias Myers on DraftKings, probably not on FanDuel. 12:57, that'll get us out. Oh, we got the Giants lineup? How about that? Is it basically the same? Yaz, Willie, Lee, Chapman, Ramos up to the 5 spot is more interesting. Wade, Fitz up 2 spots in the 7th spot. All right. And then Sam Huff and Luis Matos. So similar hitters in Sam Huff, Luis Matos to what we have in Patty Bailey and who's the other guy? And Wilmer Flores. Mix and match quality guys. Yeah, no Flores. Mix and match quality types. Probably more talent on Luis Matos than on Sam Huff if you're going down to the bottom of the lineup of this new lineup. I didn't grab it because it's not on Labs yet. But the priority guys are all still there. And Fitz moving up to 7 and getting more direct support on like a Chapman-Ramos pairing makes him more interesting. So I like it. I like that configuration of this Giants lineup. Fitz is an interesting player. You get him at second base on DraftKings. Flexibility for cheap pricing on FanDuel. That's it, gang. Coming up on 1 o'clock, 12:58. One last look at the pitching board. If you weren't here at the beginning, excellent. If you can figure out a way to pair these guys with competent bats, do so. They're easily the top 2 ceiling guys on this slate. One is it's very likely that we get one to smash and the other one to put up a good start. If both of them fail, you've got a ton of upside in putting some pairings of these 2 guys together because they're easily the next 2 most likely guys on this slate. There's a big talent gap between the top 4 and the bottom 4 here. Big talent gap. I'm giving Landon Roop the benefit of the doubt there, but he is a high-end prospect who's been pitching very, very well so far. Woo is not in a safe spot, and on FanDuel, he's more difficult to reach at 94, but that's a very good price for a very good pitcher just in a tough spot, and it's not as effective against these prices as that 79 is against those prices. That's a great buy, and the ability to put those 2 guys together while getting, again, a very competent pairing is really interesting to me. Paddock, Shane Smith, Tobias Myers. I think there's playability on all 3 of those guys on DraftKings, loosely on FanDuel, mostly around Chris Paddock. 6,500. If you just get, you want the quality start, obviously, but 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts against that White Sox lineup for that price could work. You do need these guys up top to go pop for that to work, though, if he doesn't get the quality start bonus on top of that. Smith is less playable on either site, but the DraftKings price at least works. There are Ks in that lineup. If he gets those pitches functioning, He might find some swing and miss. We might find a few Ks, but it's a high danger spot for a low-grade pitcher. Myers, I'm not a big believer in, but I do think at 72, it's at least on the board for some strikeouts against that San Francisco lineup. The one I shy away from is Herman Marquez until further notice. 1 o'clock on the nose, gang. 10 minutes till lock. Get your lineups in now. Make your decisions about that Minnesota spot. Do we have any news on that yet? This will be the last thing we do. Roth 49 minutes ago. Not ideal timing in Minnesota. Game starts in an hour. Rain starts in an hour. It'll be light rain at first, steadily building to moderate rainfall. My guess at this point is they'll try to play through it, but I really don't know. Tough spot for them. Well, that's not great. Trent Grisham reinstated, blah, blah, blah. And no news on the tarp or anything. Yeah, keep an eye on it. Tough call. Very tough call. I hate playing weather, man. With that in mind, guys, projections for the later slates will be up on the site later this afternoon. I'll do the rankings. I'll do the home run picks and all of that. So you get full content for that slate as well. Weird split today between the slates. NBA, NHL for the playoff slates will go up. Most likely no show for that slate later on today. Pretty good chance this is our last show until next Tuesday when I'm back from Cleveland. We will see about tomorrow. It depends on scheduling for pickup to get down to my parents' place. And then we'll see about Monday. Depends on scheduling when I get back from Cleveland. But you guys will have your full projections through the weekend. Everything's going to be up on the site like normal, like I'm sitting right here like I always am. And that's about it. Thank you guys so much. You guys absolutely rock. All the likes are appreciated. Any subscriptions are appreciated, both here on YouTube and over at the site. A little bit slightly more love for everybody going over to the site, of course. Appreciate that. You guys absolutely rock, trying to give you the most bang for your buck out there in the industry. Good luck out there this afternoon and tonight. Somebody go win something on both those slates. Share your results when you do. And we will talk to you very, very soon, guys. See you later.